Powerful stuff. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're sort of taking a shortcut.
A shortcut.
Yeah, a shortcut to being really well informed on a strategy for building, lasting family prosperity.
One of those things that often feels like it's just for the super rich.
Exactly. We're talking about how families like the Rockefellers use tools like life insurance and trusts. Powerful stuff. But a lot of people have some pretty big misconceptions about them.
That's right. And our mission here really is to break this whole strategy down step by step. It's not some magic trick or anything. It's actually a very powerful tool, but only when you understand it and, apply it correctly.
Okay.
We're going to demystify it for you, show how it really works.
Okay, let's unpack this then. To really get the impact, just imagine taking out a $10 million life insurance policy on yourself.
Okay, big number.
Right. Now, if the worst happens, your family doesn't just get what's sitting in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
They also receive an additional $10 million, completely tax-free, paid directly into a family trust. And that money then sustains your family, not just for one generation. We're talking many generations to come. That's the kind of, profound impact we're discussing.
And what's really fascinating here is, like you said, this isn't just some abstract theory.
Right.
It's precisely what families like the Rockefellers actually did, and what many wealthy families continue to do today. It fundamentally changes how you think about wealth. It goes way beyond just, saving money or having a big bank balance.
Yeah.
It's really about creating this self-sustaining financial ecosystem, something that grows almost on its own.
Wow, that phrase, self-sustaining financial ecosystem, that really paints a picture. But okay, to make that leap, what's the very first thing? The mindset shift people need. Because I imagine it runs counter to a lot of, conventional wisdom.
Definitely.
Our source mentions how many folks, including the author's own dad, grew up with that work hard, save your money mentality.
Very common.
Yeah. And there's often this deep distrust of financial tools they don't know, especially something like a trust. It sounds so formal. His dad's first reaction was apparently, I don't trust the trust. Who does that? Never heard of it.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
It reminds me, my own grandmother used to say, if it sounds too good to be true, you know the rest.
It probably is. Yep.
So what's the core message the source gives to get past that initial skepticism?
Well, it really raises that important question. Why is there resistance? And often it just comes down to a lack of financial literacy. We simply weren't taught this stuff in school.
Sure.
But the source really emphasizes you absolutely need to trust the trust because it's not a trick. It's a meticulously designed legal instrument.
Okay.
It's built for control and longevity, specifically designed to protect and distribute wealth over time exactly the way you intend it to be. It's about sort of relinquishing day-to-day control to a structure that you yourself design and dictate.
Okay, so once that light bulb goes on, that mindset shift clicks. You're probably thinking, right, I get the vision, but practically, where do I even start? Well, the very next actionable step is laying the foundation. And that means getting those permanent life insurance policies. And let's be really clear here. These aren't just, what some people might call burial policies.
Exactly. That distinction is absolutely crucial. We're talking about permanent whole life or universal life policies. And the key thing is they build cash value over time.
Right, cash value.
And this cash value, it's not just a number on a statement. It's a tax-deferred pool of money growing inside the policy. Money you can actually access while you're alive.
Okay.
It basically acts like your own private bank. So you can seize opportunities without needing, say, external loans. And of course, they also provide that significant tax-free death benefit we talked about earlier.
Right.
Our source gives some concrete examples of the scale, for a family using this.
Yeah.
Maybe $1 million for a parent, perhaps $500,000 for each child. Just showing the kind of breadth and potential impact across the whole family right from the start.
That bit about the cash value acting like your own bank, that's a critical point. So, okay, we've got the insurance policies in place. What's the next essential piece, the thing that connects these policies into that multi-generational system? Because I guess it's not something you just, set and forget.
No, definitely not. If we're looking at the bigger picture, the next vital piece is setting up that family trust.
Right, the trust.
And look, this isn't something you just Google and try to DIY. You absolutely need an experienced estate planning attorney to structure this correctly.
Good point.
The trust is really the linchpin. It makes the whole strategy work. It becomes the named beneficiary for every family member's life insurance policy.
Okay, so the money goes to the trust.
Exactly. It holds the money when someone passes away. And, crucially, the trust structure gives you full control over how that money is ultimately spent. You set clear, legally binding instructions for future generations.
Like what kind of instructions?
Well, anything really. Funding college tuition, starting a business, buying a first home, making strategic investments. You name it, you lay out the rules.
Okay, now this is where the real genius of what they call the family bank starts to unfold. And just to be clear for everyone listening, this family bank isn't like a building downtown.
Right, not a physical bank.
It's the trust itself, acting as the central self-governing pool of capital.
Precisely. So when a family member passes, their policy pays out that big sum, tax-free, into the trust, not to an individual person.
Got it.
That money goes into this collective family bank, this reservoir.
And why is that so important, keeping it in the trust?
Well, it ensures the capital stays within the family's ecosystem. It doesn't get scattered, spent individually, or maybe lost to taxes or bad decisions. It preserves this principle. Meanwhile, the surviving family members, they still have their own active policies. And here's the really clever part, the key to making it perpetual. As they age, they take out new policies on their own children. And guess what pays for those new policies?
Let me guess.
The trust itself. Right. Exactly. The trust, by strategically investing the death benefits it receives, generates returns, or perhaps liquidates some assets, specifically to pay the premiums for new policies on the next generation.
Wow.
It creates this self-renewing financial engine. It perpetuates the cycle, keeping the wealth growing within the family structure.
So the cycle just keeps rolling. The next generation grows up. Their policies are already funded, already in place.
Right.
And every time someone passes away, the trust doesn't shrink. It actually grows larger. You're building this ever-expanding ecosystem of capital, as you called it.
That's the idea. An ecosystem benefiting the whole family across multiple generations.
So what does that mean practically for the family members day to day or year to year?
It means the family ideally never have to rely on traditional banks for loans. They don't have to worry quite so much about funding those big life events, school, starting a business, buying a home, unexpected emergencies.
Because they have their own internal source of funding.
Exactly. It becomes a truly self-sustaining system of support and growth. It builds genuine financial independence over generations.
Okay, let's try and summarize this because it sounds incredibly powerful, but maybe almost too simple in a way. Pulling it all together for you listening, why does this work so effectively?
Well, first, and this is huge, those policy payouts going into the trust, they are tax-free. That's a massive advantage right from the start. You're preserving capital immediately.
Okay, tax-free. Got it.
Second, the trust structure itself helps prevent those really common, sometimes destructive family fights over inheritance. Who gets what, when.
Yeah, you hear horror stories.
You do. The trust ensures the legacy is distributed exactly as the original person intended, avoiding all that friction. Third, the family achieves this profound level of financial independence. They don't need to go hat in hand to banks or outside lenders.
Control?
Control, exactly. And finally, maybe most importantly, you leave a true legacy. You're leaving an asset that grows, that serves future generations, rather than just, say, a liability or an inheritance that gets quickly spent and disappears.
We've really taken quite a deep dive today into a strategy that honestly could redefine what wealth even means for your family.
It really could.
It's about thinking much bigger than just one lifetime and leveraging these, sophisticated financial tools that, yes, have maybe historically been used mostly by the ultra-wealthy.
But they're accessible.
Right. They're accessible if you understand them, and crucially, if you're intentional about setting them up properly.
Which really raises an important question for you, the listener. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Yeah.
And how might understanding these tools, permanent life insurance, trusts, how might that help you build a financial future that truly supports multiple generations? Not just the people immediately around you today.
It really comes down to designing that financial future with intention, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Designing it with intention rather than just, letting it happen by default.